Hello, YouTube. Today I want to tell you a few interesting things about marine animals that are really not widely disseminated. Tales about their conduct, but it's changing, and you will see how. For example, scientists from the University of Groningen in Netherlands conducted a study that confirmed the high frequency of mutations in the DNA of whales. These results were surprising since the mutation rate was comparable to that of some smaller mammals. And this is not typical for large animals. So we're speaking about excessively high mutation rate. The study was conducted on 4 different species of whales. Its results are published in the magazine Science. The scientists noted that the number of mutations in the whale's DNA significantly exceeded their initial predictions based on the size of the animals. The frequency of genetic changes in sea giants was comparable to that of dolphins, primates, and even humans. And the number is the opposite. This new data on mutational processes allowed researchers to more accurately determine the number of whales in the North Atlantic until the second half of the 18th century, when active industrial whaling began. It turned out that the number of humpback whales in the Atlantic basin was 86% less than previously estimated. Instead of the expected 150,000 individuals, the calculation showed only about 20,000. This information is of great importance for the preservation of modern whale populations, since apparently the survival of the population was ensured not by the initial number, but by mutations. Interpretation of the results of the study allows us to better understand the mutational processes in the DNA of whales and their impact on the number of populations. However, so far, the results of the discovery should be interpreted correctly because, as it turned out, we previously operated with erroneous data in this area. Scientists believe that mutations in the DNA of whales can have long-term consequences for their survival and development. So it is important to continue research in this area. So we're discovering new facts and ideas about the oceans and its inhabitants. And I want to tell you about this one because I'm very much interested in dolphins, as you can see from my videos. We're speaking about scientists that solve the mystery of the mass suicides on dolphins. So every year, thousands of whales and dolphins are washed ashore, beached. Although isolated cases are observed all over the world, they're especially common in Western Australia, New Zealand, on the east coast of North America, and off the coast of Patagonia and Chile. What makes these intelligent marine animals commit suicide? The dangerous shallow waters of Golden Bay on the South Island of New Zealand are called by locals the Dolphin Cemetery. About 3,000 black dolphins are thrown onto the land here every year. According to biologists, the reason is that animals swimming up to the shallow shore cannot determine the depth using echolocation and swim in shallow water. A particularly dangerous place is the Farewell Spit, a narrow sandy arc at the top of the island which becomes a trap for dolphins. Well, some scientists compare this behavior with mass suicide, but most reject this idea. The founder of the Wildlife Veterinary Research Center, Vic Simpson, conducted an autopsy of 26 dolphins who died on the beach in Cornwall in 2008 and concluded that this was not suicide, but the result of a malfunction in echolocation. Dr. Alexander Burdin from the Kamchatka branch of the Pacific Institute of Geography of the Far Eastern branch of the Russian Academy of Sciences also does not agree with the idea of dolphin suicide. He explains that animals simply do not have such a thing as suicide. They think in completely different categories, and the beaching happens by accident as a result of mistakes and accidents. Out of desire to help, black dolphins, like other species of toothed whales, are very social and strongly attached to each other. They do everything together: relax, hunt, socialize, play, and travel. Therefore, if one individual gets into danger, the rest of the pack members rush to her aid, which can lead to the whole group being thrown ashore. Human errors in echolocation can also occur due to human fault. For example, a dolphin may lose its orientation when it gets into the range of sonar, which are used to detect underwater objects. These devices can disrupt the hearing of animals due to the peculiarities of their reception of signals. But the noise from the ships, contrary to misconceptions, usually does not cause discomfort to the dolphin, as it is very weak. But the more powerful impacts, such as seismic exploration, underwater explosions, or rocket launches, may well blind or shell shock an animal, causing a loss of orientation. Now let's move on to sharks and some very, I don't want to say unusual, but very strange behavior. You see, recently sharks attacked the Russian Ocean Way circumnavigation expedition off the coast of Australia, as they could have mistaken the vessel for an object for hunting. As the head of the mission, Yevgeny Kovalevsky, told Russian newspapers, the Catamaran was attacked by Brazilian luminous sharks, the most vicious predatory fish, and the vessel sank. Experts doubted that it could be this particular species since they reach a length of only 20 centimeters, but admitted that cases of atypical behavior of animals have become more frequent recently due to anthropogenic influence on nature. And I've done other videos about very strange behavior of marine animals. You can see it in my channel. Now, the Catamaran of the Russian Ocean Way circumnavigation expedition, titled Following the Way of Russian Circumnavigators, was attacked several times by sharks in the Pacific Ocean, according to the head of the expedition, Yevgeny Kovalevsky. Besides him, there were two other people on board, Stanislav Berezkin and French citizen Vincent Thomas Etienne. The participants of the expedition knew that Brazilian luminous sharks, the so-called cookie cutters, live in the area of the reefs. That's why he calls them for the manner of attacking. That's what he calls them for the manner of attacking. Moving at high speed, they stick their elongated jaw to the victim and scroll around themselves, cutting out parts of the flesh, according to the Russian scientist. This is the most vicious predatory fish of the ocean. Lives at a depth of 2,000 to 3,000 meters. Hunts only at night. Attacks whales, sharks, tuna, and dolphins. The circumnavigational expedition following the way of Russian circumnavigators started in St. Petersburg in July of 2021. It is organized by the Tomsk branch of the Russian Geographical Society. The mission basically follows the same itineraries that Ivan Krusenstern, Fyodor Litka, and Fadej Bellinsgausen once followed. The total length is about 35,000 nautical miles. According to the head of the expedition, the attacks of these sharks began on September 4, 2023. They bit through one of the two inflatable balloons that kept the catamaran afloat. The cylinders were divided into several sections, and the puncture of one of them was not critical, but affected the handling of the catamaran. While only the left balloon was damaged, they were still moving somehow, and on the night of September 6th, they saw that the right cylinder of the stern was hanging out like a bag. Again, there was a shark attack, and there were no more options, the traveler noted. After the shark attack, the catamaran began to sink. The crew gave an SOS signal and informed the head of the coastal headquarters of the expedition in Tomsk. Yulia Kaluzhna, who contacted the Rescue Service of Australia. So, again, there were 3 people on board the Catamaran: the expedition leader Evgeny Kovalevsky, the captain of the double outrigger Stanislav Berezkin, and a French name named Vincent. None of them were injured as a result of the emergency. Soon the Dagang Ace transport ship came out to the Catamaran. The cargo ship closest to the Catamaran was under the flag of Panama, flying to Shanghai, arrived at the rescue within 45 minutes, and got in touch by satellite photo, according to Yulia Kaluzhna. The guys were already in the water 2 more hours, and there would have been a big tragedy, she said. According to her, all crew members are healthy, but the ship sank underwater. While waiting for help, the team prepared to dive into the water, wearing the necessary equipment, stepping on their belts, and preparing drinking water, according to Kovalevsky. So their stern went down, and he imagined that it would be like on the Titanic. The stern would sink, the bow would rise up, they would all roll into the water. They were even going to open a life raft, but then the ship's lights appeared. The captain of the other vessel, Captain Bernard, contacted them, said that he was not far away. The rescue, according to him, was not easy because of the difference in the size of the dry cargo ship and the Catamaran. The ship came up to leeward. They were piled on it. Terrible condition, night, dark. They can't reach the ropes. They caught them for 30 minutes. Then they handed the rescuers their things. And then they jumped over themselves, according to the expedition leader. He noted that the team was not afraid of shark attacks on people, as only a very strong irritant, such as smell of blood, can provoke this. The Catamaran, like I said, was lost and sank into the sea. But despite the loss of the vessel, the expedition will continue with Kovalevsky and Berezkin, and the Frenchman will stay in Australia. Cases of shark attacks on people or watercraft occur quite often, according to experts. Such incidents are recorded annually in different parts of the world. According to the ichthyologist, head of the Laboratory of Marine and Semi-Navigable Fish of the All-Russian Research Institute of Fisheries and Oceanography, Sergei Leontiev. In principle, from 50 to 100 cases are registered per year throughout the tropical zone. They also attack small boats and surfers, he explained. The main motive of the shark attack, according to him, is the search for food. They could mistake a moving catamaran for a hunting object. They are in their own environment. They feel like masters there, the expert stressed. At the same time, sharks, as a rule, do not just attack objects if they are not in the state of rage, added Kirill Kuzishin, professor of the Department of Ichthyology of the Faculty of Biology of Moscow State University. There are sharks which, by human standards, have a fickle character, vicious. For example, tiger shark, but it attacks a person and various kinds of objects in the coastal zone, not at great depth, he explained. According to the expert, blue long-finned sharks can attack in groups, which often cause mass deaths during shipwrecks in the open ocean. When a lot of people are splashing, they create noise, and sharks sense their presence from afar. They attack, but to really eat, to satisfy their hunger. In a state of excitement, especially in a group, they can attack some boats, catamarans of small size, he explained. But Brazilian luminous sharks, or cookie cutters, according to him, they're small in size. It's like 20 centimeters in length. It is unlikely, according to him, that such a predator could bite through a catamaran. It looks more like some kind of a larger shark, of which there are many, which lead a daytime lifestyle and stay in the near surface layers. There are many such species, according to Kirill Kuzishin. However, recently, many animal species are increasingly behaving uncharacteristically, the expert admitted. Maybe it's a reaction to anthropogenic impact. Maybe somewhere these predators have done something similar before, he noted. Well, to conclude whether the Brazilian luminous shark is really to blame for the attack, it would be impossible. It would be possible just if you look at the catamaran that was impacted, because the cookie cutters, according to the expert, leave a characteristic trace of teeth, as if a hemisphere was cut out on the surface with a compass, even geometrically correct. In addition, for more accurate conclusions, experts would need, according to him, more data. How many sharks there were, whether they chased the catamaran, whether the attack was sudden. It is difficult to determine the species of sharks in water. In the water, there are definite signs that are difficult to distinguish, he added. So they don't know. Cases of similar attacks and their causes, as a rule, remain a mystery to specialists. They are unable to establish all the details of what happened. There's no way to catch and study the attacking shark, the expert concluded. Well, maybe the Brazilian luminous sharks attack in large groups now and have changed their behavior. I don't think we know enough. But I will bring you more interesting stories about the largely unknown marine life and interesting incidents down below, under the surface of the oceans and seas. And if you like my research, if you can support it, you'll find the links in the description to this video. Please tell others about my channel. Please like my videos. Thank you for your attention to my work.